Life in Czech Republic, the country of extremely beautiful women and pristine nature. Travel documentary. What if a country where women are among the most beautiful in Europe also happens to be one of the most atheist nations on earth? In the Czech Republic, this contradiction is just the beginning of a story that challenges everything you think you know about Central Europe. Behind Prague's golden spires and fairy tale facades lies a nation where ancient traditions collide with radical modernity, where beer flows more freely than anywhere else on the planet, yet where the deepest conversations happen in silence. Here, forests hold secrets that locals guard jealously, and the very architecture rebels against conventional rules. But there's one Czech tradition so unexpected, so deeply rooted in their understanding of attraction and relationships, that it will completely reshape how you view this enigmatic country. We're about to reveal 15 mind-blowing truths about Czech life that most travelers never discover. Comment below which of these facts you already knew. If you're ready to see the world differently, hit subscribe and ring the bell. The real Czech Republic starts now. Number 1. The beer that decides your social status. The Czech Republic doesn't just love beer, it has created an entire social hierarchy around it. With the highest beer consumption per capita in the world, drinking here isn't recreational, it's cultural architecture. In traditional pubs called hospodas, your table placement, the speed of your service, and even the quality of your foam depend on whether you're recognized as a true beer connoisseur or dismissed as a tourist. The ritual is precise. You never pour your own beer, you maintain eye contact during toasts, and you never let your glass go completely empty. The foam must be exactly 2 fingers thick, and locals can identify a pub's quality by the sound the glass makes when placed on the wooden table. This isn't just drinking culture, it's the foundation of Czech social life, where business deals are made, marriages are arranged, and political opinions are shared. The pub isn't just a place to grab a drink, it's the unofficial parliament of Czech democracy. But here's where Czech dating culture takes an unexpected turn. Number 2. The weekend escape that defines Czech romance. Every Friday afternoon, something remarkable happens across Czech cities. Couples disappear en masse, not to luxury resorts or expensive restaurants, but to tiny wooden cottages called chatas, scattered throughout the countryside. These weekend retreats, often without running water or electricity, represent the heart of Czech romantic culture. Here, relationships are tested not by fancy dinners, but by the ability to chop wood together, grow vegetables, and find contentment in simplicity. Czech women, renowned for their natural beauty and intelligence, often judge potential partners not by their city sophistication, but by their willingness to embrace this rustic weekend lifestyle. The chata culture creates bonds that urban dating simply cannot replicate. Couples spend their time mushroom hunting, gardening, and sitting around small fires, engaging in conversations that stretch deep into the night. This tradition, born from the communist era when private property was restricted, has evolved into the most authentic expression of Czech intimacy. The forest holds even deeper secrets about Czech character. Number 3. The hunt that reveals character. Every autumn, the Czech Republic transforms into a nation of foragers. Mushroom hunting, or hubářství, is not just a hobby, but a national obsession that reveals the Czech soul. Families guard their secret mushroom spots for generations, passing down knowledge like precious heirlooms. The hunt requires patience, knowledge of terrain, and the ability to move silently through the forest, qualities that Czechs believe separate the worthy from the superficial. Czech women often test potential partners by inviting them on these hunts, watching to see if they possess the quiet patience and respect for nature that defines Czech character. The mushrooms themselves become currency in a shadow economy, traded among neighbors, given as gifts to strengthen relationships, and prepared in family recipes that date back centuries. But the hunt reveals something deeper, the Czech understanding that the most valuable things in life cannot be purchased, only earned through knowledge, patience, and respect for the natural world. Comment with a 3 if you think this tradition should be preserved in our modern world. The forest teaching extends beyond mushrooms into something even more profound. Number 4. The silence that speaks volumes. Czech communication operates on a frequency that most foreigners never learn to hear. While Americans fill silence with small talk and Italians punctuate conversations with gestures, Czechs have elevated comfortable silence to an art form. In hospodas, friends can sit together for hours, exchanging only occasional words but communicating volumes through shared presence. This cultural trait, born from centuries of political oppression where careless words could bring danger, has evolved into a sophisticated form of intimacy. Czech women, in particular, are masters of this silent communication, able to convey interest, affection, or disapproval through subtle shifts in posture or barely perceptible changes in facial expression. Visitors often mistake this reserved demeanor for coldness, but they're witnessing something far more complex. A culture where trust is earned slowly and emotional displays are considered private currency, not public performance. The reward for those who learn this language of silence is access to conversations of remarkable depth and honesty. This reserved nature extends to their most controversial tradition. Number 5. The Easter ritual that shocks visitors. Every Easter Monday, Czech streets fill with men carrying willow branches, hunting for women to lightly whip on their legs and backs. Called pomlaska, this tradition sends modern visitors into cultural shock, but understanding its true meaning reveals the complexity of Czech relationships. The ritual isn't about dominance or aggression. It's an ancient fertility rite where the whipping with fresh willow branches symbolically transfers the tree's vitality and youth to women. Czech women not only consent to this practice but actively participate, rewarding their whippers with painted eggs, ribbons, or shots of Slivovice plum brandy. Many women prepare for weeks, decorating elaborate eggs and planning their Easter Monday routes through neighborhoods. The tradition reveals Czech culture's comfort with physical symbolism that transcends modern political correctness, maintaining connections to pre-Christian agricultural rituals that celebrated renewal and fertility. For Czech couples, participating in pomlaska often marks a relationship milestone, declaring their connection to both each other and their cultural heritage. But the Czech relationship with tradition becomes even more complex in their architecture. Number 6. The buildings that break every rule. Prague contains the world's only examples of Cubist architecture, where buildings rebel against every conventional design principle. Created in the early 20th century, these structures apply the angular, fragmented principles of Cubist art to residential and commercial buildings, creating facades that seem to shift and move as you walk past them. The House of the Black Madonna stands as the movement's masterpiece, its geometric angles and crystalline surfaces challenging observers to question the relationship between art and inhabitation. But Cubist architecture represents something deeper about Czech character, the refusal to accept limitations imposed by others. These buildings were created during the Habsburg period, when Czech architects sought to establish visual independence from Austrian and German influences. Today, they serve as monuments to creative rebellion, demonstrating how Czechs transform constraint into innovation. The Grand Café Orient inside the House of the Black Madonna continues this tradition, offering visitors the chance to drink coffee surrounded by furniture and fixtures designed according to Cubist principles. This architectural rebellion reflects a broader pattern in Czech creativity. Number 7. The puppets that preserve memory. Czech marionette theaters have kept stories alive for over 4 centuries, but their true purpose goes far beyond entertainment. During periods of foreign occupation, when Czech language and culture faced suppression, puppet shows became vessels for preserving national identity. Master puppeteers developed codes within their performances, embedding political commentary and cultural memory within seemingly innocent fairy tales. Each puppet requires months to carve and paint by hand, with master craftsmen guarding techniques passed down through generations. The weight, balance, and joint construction of each marionette must be perfect to achieve the fluid movements that bring stories to life. But puppet theater reveals something essential about Czech psychology, the understanding that survival sometimes requires operating through metaphor and symbol rather than direct confrontation. Modern Czech puppet masters continue this tradition, addressing contemporary issues through ancient storytelling techniques, proving that some forms of communication transcend political systems and historical periods. The Czech mastery of indirect communication extends into their religious life. Number 8. The churches without believers. The Czech Republic holds the distinction of being one of the world's most atheist nations, yet its landscape remains dominated by magnificent churches and cathedrals. This apparent contradiction reveals a sophisticated relationship between spirituality and cultural identity. St. Vitus Cathedral in Prague Castle, one of Gothic architecture's greatest achievements, attracts millions of visitors annually, but most come as tourists rather than worshippers. Czechs have separated their appreciation for religious art and architecture from religious belief itself, treating churches as monuments to human creativity rather than divine worship. This secular approach to sacred spaces allows Czech society to preserve its architectural heritage while rejecting the political authority that historically accompanied religious institutions. The separation reflects centuries of foreign religious imposition, from forced Catholicism under Habsburg rule to the communist suppression of all faith. Modern Czechs have found a third path, maintaining respect for the cultural achievements of their religious past while embracing rational, secular approaches to contemporary life. This pragmatic approach to tradition appears in their most famous celebration. Number 9. The Christmas that celebrates everything but Christ. Czech Christmas celebrations represent one of Europe's most elaborate holiday traditions, yet they center on family, food, and folklore rather than religious observance. Christmas Eve dinner follows ancient rituals: carp traditionally caught and kept swimming in bathtubs, fried schnitzel, potato salad, and cookies baked from recipes passed down through generations. Families gather around candlelit tables, reading from family histories and sharing stories rather than religious texts. The evening culminates with gift exchanges accompanied by the ringing of small bells, which children are told signal baby Jesus' arrival. Though most families treat this as charming folklore rather than religious doctrine, Czech Christmas markets transform city squares into wonderlands of handicrafts, mulled wine, and traditional foods, but they celebrate cultural heritage rather than religious devotion. What's your take on celebrating traditional holidays without their original religious meaning? Share your thoughts in the comments below. This approach to Christmas reflects the Czech genius for preserving cultural richness while adapting to contemporary secular values. The Czech approach to tradition becomes most apparent in their relationship with their neighbors. Number 10. The country that refuses to be Eastern. Czechs react with visible frustration when foreigners classify their country as Eastern European, and their objection reveals deep historical and cultural truths. Geographically, Prague sits further west than Vienna, yet Cold War politics created artificial boundaries that persist in popular imagination. Czech culture draws from Germanic, Austrian, and Italian influences as much as Slavic traditions, creating a unique Central European identity that resists simple categorization. The distinction matters because it reflects centuries of struggle to maintain independence from both Western and Eastern imperial powers. Habsburg rule brought Austrian cultural influences, while Soviet domination imposed Eastern political systems, but Czech identity emerged from resistance to both. Modern Czech architecture, cuisine, and social customs blend influences from multiple directions, creating something distinctly local. When Czechs insist on their Central European identity, they're claiming their right to define themselves rather than accepting definitions imposed by more powerful neighbors. This insistence on self-definition appears throughout Czech culture, from their unique beer brewing methods to their distinctive approach to democracy. Their independence extends to their most intimate relationships. Number 11. The dating rules that defy modern romance. Czech dating culture operates according to principles that challenge contemporary relationship advice. Czech women, renowned for combining striking beauty with intellectual depth, typically expect potential partners to demonstrate patience, consistency, and genuine interest rather than flashy displays of wealth or status. First dates rarely involve expensive restaurants or entertainment. Instead, they feature long walks through Prague's winding streets, conversations in quiet cafes, or visits to art galleries where discussions can unfold naturally. Czech dating emphasizes mental compatibility over physical attraction. Though the country's reputation for beautiful women isn't unfounded, Czech genetics, influenced by centuries of Central European mixing, combined with cultural emphasis on natural health and outdoor activities, creates distinctive physical characteristics. But Czech women judge partners based on character qualities: the ability to engage in serious conversation, respect for intellectual pursuits, and willingness to participate in family traditions. The dating process moves slowly, with relationships building through shared experiences rather than romantic gestures. This approach creates partnerships based on deep compatibility rather than initial attraction. Czech relationships are further shaped by their unique living situations. Number 12. The housing system that changes everything. Czech housing reflects both communist legacy and contemporary challenges in ways that shape every aspect of daily life. Most Czechs live in panelák apartments, prefabricated concrete blocks built during the socialist era that dominate city skylines. These buildings, initially symbols of socialist progress, now house millions of Czechs in compact, functional spaces that encourage different lifestyle patterns than Western suburbs. Panelák living creates close-knit communities where neighbors know each other intimately, children play together in shared courtyards, and privacy becomes a precious commodity. Young Czech couples often spend years living with parents or sharing small apartments, which influences their approach to relationships and family planning. The housing situation encourages Czechs to spend time outdoors, in pubs, or at their weekend chatas rather than entertaining at home. Prague's housing costs have skyrocketed due to tourism and foreign investment, forcing many young Czechs to reconsider traditional life paths. This housing reality shapes Czechs' social behavior, relationship patterns, and economic decisions in ways that visitors rarely understand. The economic pressures extend into Czech attitudes toward work and success. Number 13. The work culture that puzzles outsiders. Czech work culture operates according to principles that challenge both American productivity obsessions and Mediterranean leisure attitudes. Czechs typically work efficiently during designated hours but resist overtime or weekend work, preferring to maintain clear boundaries between professional and personal time. This approach stems from both communist-era experiences, where extra effort rarely brought rewards, and deeper cultural values that prioritize life balance over career advancement. Czech employees often surprise foreign managers by refusing promotions that would interfere with their weekend chata time or family obligations. The culture values competence and reliability over ambition and innovation, though this is gradually changing as younger generations embrace entrepreneurial opportunities. Czech businesses typically operate more formally than American companies, but less hierarchically than German organizations, creating work environments that can seem both rigid and relaxed to foreign observers. The Czech approach to work reflects broader cultural values, preference for stability over risk, suspicion of authority figures, and belief that work should support life rather than dominate it. These work attitudes connect to Czech approaches to environmental protection. Number 14. The Green Revolution you never heard about. The Czech Republic has quietly become one of Europe's environmental leaders, but their approach differs dramatically from Western environmental movements. Czech environmentalism grows from practical necessity rather than ideological commitment. Decades of communist-era industrial pollution created health crises that forced environmental awareness, while traditional forest management practices preserved wilderness areas that now attract international attention. Czech environmental protection emphasizes local solutions and individual responsibility rather than government regulation or international cooperation. Czechs have developed sophisticated recycling systems, extensive public transportation networks, and renewable energy projects without the political controversy that accompanies environmental issues in other countries. The approach reflects Czech pragmatism. Environmental protection makes economic sense and improves quality of life, so it deserves support regardless of political ideology. Czech cities like Prague now rank among Europe's cleanest, while national parks preserve ecosystems that support both wildlife and traditional human activities like mushroom hunting and hiking. Type 14 in the comments if you believe environmental protection should be practical rather than ideological. This practical approach appears most clearly in Czech approaches to their most precious resource. Number 15. The waters that hold memory. Czech rivers and lakes serve as repositories for the nation's deepest memories and most persistent hopes. The Vltava River, flowing through Prague's heart, has witnessed every major event in Czech history: medieval coronations, religious wars, Habsburg ceremonies, Nazi occupation, communist celebrations, and Velvet Revolution demonstrations. Czechs treat their waterways with reverence that goes beyond environmental concern, viewing them as continuous threads connecting past and present. Traditional Czech settlements grew around rivers and springs, with communities developing elaborate systems for sharing and protecting water resources. The mineral springs at Karlovy Vary have attracted visitors for centuries, not just for their supposed healing properties, but for the social rituals surrounding their consumption. Czech children learn to swim in these waters. Couples walk along riverbanks during courtship, families picnic beside lakes, and elderly Czechs feed swans and ducks as daily meditation. The relationship with water reflects Czech understanding of continuity. Like the rivers themselves, Czech culture flows forward while remaining connected to its sources. These waters don't just support Czech life, they preserve Czech memory and nurture Czech dreams for the future. Standing at the intersection of 15 different stories, a larger truth emerges about the Czech Republic. This isn't just a country of beautiful women and pristine nature, it's a civilization that has mastered the art of preserving what matters while adapting to what must change. From beer halls to puppet theaters, from weekend cottages to silent conversations, Czechs have created systems for maintaining human connection and cultural memory that survive political upheaval and economic transformation. Their approach to relationships, work, tradition, and nature offers lessons that extend far beyond Central Europe's borders. The Czech Republic reveals what happens when a people choose depth over surface, patience over urgency, and authenticity over performance. Here's the question that ties everything together. In our increasingly connected but often superficial world, what can we learn from a culture that finds its deepest truths in quiet moments and shared silences? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this journey through Czech culture revealed something you hadn't expected, hit that like button. And if you're ready to explore more stories that challenge your assumptions about the world, subscribe and join us as we continue discovering the hidden truths behind the places we think we know.